Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today I want to talk about Jasmy because obviously we've seen a little bit of a price pullback from the major run-up that we have seen. So I did want to talk a little bit about that and discuss kind of what we're seeing, maybe what's next, how are things looking overall, just things like that. So anyway, let's go ahead, dive right in. And starting out, what we can see is I did just want to take a quick look at crypto bubbles because what we can see is everything across the entire market basically is down. We can see Jasmy down 6% on the day. But look, I mean, that's not even the worst that we're seeing here. I mean, we got Kaya down 13, Tia 10, ICP 7, Tezos almost 10, Sol at 5%. I mean, we're seeing a lot of like fairly large coins down pretty decent here. Helium 10, ADA 5, Bitcoin 2. So overall, obviously, we're seeing a pretty decent pullback within the market. Again, this is not anything that is at all concerning to me. To be completely honest, this is actually kind of like a welcome sight for me, just because we have seen kind of a ridiculous move. Even if we just look at the past week, I mean, we're still up 50% on the week on Jasmy, right? So I mean, there's tons of mega moves happening, and it gets even crazier if we look at the month, right? So I mean, tons of just kind of insane moves happening to the upside here. So the fact that we are seeing a little bit of a red day, not at all, in the least bit concerning to me. I do think over the next couple of days, I mean, it would be kind of a good thing to see kind of the market pull back a little bit, things cool off, kind of establish some supports at hopefully some of these new higher levels that we've seen, basically the entire crypto market move up. If Jasmy can move up, 120%, even if we pull back, a little bit further from here, and Jasmy can maybe establish a support at 2x what it was. I mean, that's fantastic news, right? I mean, same thing here for like HBAR, XRP, same type of thing. Like if a lot of these can find higher level supports than what they were even a month ago, even if we pull back, 30% from all-time highs or 50% or whatever, as long as we're kind of establishing new higher lows, to me that's a good thing overall. And so that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Looking at the altcoin season index, we can see we actually have officially pulled out of altcoin season. We were only there for about 2 or 3 days, so not what I would call like a real altcoin season. I think this is kind of to be expected, right? I mean, things got kind of pretty crazy pretty quick. If we look at the last video I made, we talked about the market being very, very, very overbought. I think we're starting to see a little bit of a move to the downside here to kind of get things a little bit more like right-sized, which in my opinion, like I said, is a good thing. Not at all bad news in my opinion. Again, if we look at Jasmy price specifically here, we can see a little bit of that, right? I mean, we get kind of almost like that J curve going on where we see a pretty strong move to the upside in a very, very short period of time. This is daily candles, so it looks a little bit maybe more exaggerated than if we were to look at like hour-long candles or something, but we can see really strong move up, and then right now we have come back down to what we were seeing as kind of the local highs back here in June. As I did mention, if we could just hold the support, I mean, we kind of wicked below a little bit, but we have pulled up to this kind of level here where we were seeing wicks at the top. Even if we pull down to this kind of 416 range, we're about 441. Even if we pull down to this like 416 range or even like the 41 range, this is all kind of an area where I think if we could establish a pretty strong support here in this kind of area, I'd be very pleased with that, and hopefully I think most Jasmy holders would be as well, right? I mean, especially if you're buying down in this area like I was and several of us on the channel, where I would imagine as we were looking 2-3 months back, we're looking pretty nice right now, right? So I mean, even though we are seeing a little bit of a pullback from the top that we saw, just shy of 6 cents, I mean, I'm very pleased with this, right? And so if we are able to hold a top or a support here, I think that's great news. If not, I'm saying this is probably kind of the level we'd come back to, about the 3.2, 3.3 range. So again, not the end of the world if we do get back to this. Obviously, this is best case scenario. This would kind of be secondary. And then from there, we'd probably see some level of support kind of in this range, probably about the 2.5 cent mark. We could see we saw a lot of resistance kind of on the upside before, we actually kind of broke it in a sustained manner. So it would be nice to, kind of, like I said, stay up in this range. But even if we came back to here, I would imagine this would be a pretty strong support. If we did break down, then obviously not great, because we're basically giving back all the gains that we saw in a very short period of time. On that note, this is always usually a good time to take some profits, because when we do see a move up, like I said, we might settle here. The market is looking really, really strong overall, so it is possible that we could settle, at this level. Realistically, I think we probably kind of head back more to this level. But again, if we see Bitcoin pull back 20, 30, 40%, then maybe we are getting back all the way to this level, right? I mean, it's very possible. If we are looking at Bitcoin, I mean, we can see some of the moves that we've seen on the market today in crypto bubbles. Obviously, things looking a little bleak for some of these some of these tokens, and Bitcoin's only down 2.5% on the day, about 3 or 4% probably from all-time highs, but only about 2.5% on the day. So this is something where, you know, as Bitcoin continues to bleed, if it does, alts definitely are going to continue to bleed as well, right? And as we saw kind of in this mini kind of, I would say, preview of what alt season is going to look like, when Bitcoin is kind of topped and it kind of is just sitting somewhat stable, alts run like crazy, right? But it also happens in the other direction too. So if Bitcoin starts bleeding, alts usually lose harder than Bitcoin. So that's kind of what things are looking like here based on the Jasmy chart. If you are interested in trading Jasmy or kind of anything else for that matter, I am partnered with BTCC for an additional month. In December, we still do have that 10% bonus on first time deposits, which is a fantastic deal if you ask me. If you are looking to trade anyway, I mean, you might as well get the additional 10% because you wouldn't otherwise. So I would say if that is something you're interested in, please check the link in the description below. Also, you do have the extra bonuses of up to $10,055 per user. They've been around also for 13 years. So, I mean, 2011, I think that's probably before the majority of us have been in crypto. So, I mean, they've definitely been around for a really long time, particularly when we get in bull runs like this. There's a lot of really shady people that kind of pop up just because there's more money going around. There's more, I would say, like less sophisticated people coming into the crypto space. It's a lot easier for scams, all that type of stuff. So in my opinion, this is probably like the best part about BTCC is the fact that they have been around. This is probably their 5th cycle at this point. So this is a really, really good thing if you ask me. Also, 300 plus crypto futures and up to 500x leverage. I personally never do 500x leverage, but if that's something you're interested in, they do have that. And then no VPN or KYC necessary if that's something that is applicable for you. So like I said, feel free to check the link in the description if that is something you're interested in. Now, moving on, I want to take a quick look at a video that I posted over 2 months ago at this point. And so we're going to be talking kind of about what I was seeing as some possible outcomes for Jasmy. And this is essentially what we were seeing. In here, and then we get back to the all-time high, or I guess the local high, I should say, at about 4.5 cents. The next fib level after we break this local top here is going to be back up at about 6 cents. And usually the 1618 level for fib is usually pretty attainable to hit, just historically speaking. Obviously, we have no idea. This is kind of, you know, trying to take a best guess we can, and fib levels are usually relatively well followed, as we can see by some of these down here. So, you know, what this week with rate. So as we can see from over 2 months ago, I mean, you know, we were talking about, are we going to see 6 cents by the end of 2024? And while we technically haven't seen 6 cents exactly, I mean, the highs here were 5.9 cents. We've been pretty close. And I do think depending on how the rest of this month shakes out, we could make another run at that 6 cent point. Again, you know, if Bitcoin goes into kind of more of a prolonged pullback, then we very likely will not see that. But it is possible that we could see that kind of making another run by the end of the year. However, if not, I mean, things looking really good. And I want to do another fib retracement here just so we can kind of take a look of how things kind of ended up shaking out. We did end up making lower lows here than what I was showing back in that video 2 months ago. So we are going to kind of use the benefit of hindsight to make that lower low and show us what we're looking at here. We can see that 1618 level at the almost 6.2 cent range just because of that lower low that we made here. We can see this most recent move up, not quite hitting that fib level, getting actually really quite close. And then obviously we are hitting on this one fib level just because that was the kind of the previous local top that we saw here. But even still, you know, kind of making the run up, we can see, you know, a little bit of support found here, and also obviously a bunch of resistance both at this level, and then we did wick up to this level as well kind of previously before we saw that breakout. So fib levels being respected pretty well here. Again, looking a little bit further out though, we can see that after 6 cents, we are looking at 9 cents and then just shy of 12 and then just about 13.5 cents here up at the 4236 level. So these are kind of more of the immediate price ranges I'd be looking at. Like I said, I think 6 cents by the end of 2024, still a possibility. I would say this is maybe close enough and potentially as much as we're going to get, just because I do know a lot of people within the Jasmy community were looking for that 6 cent range. And usually when that type of thing happens, people try and front run it, right? And they sell out at 5.8, 5.9, whatever, kind of like what we saw here when we did start to see that kind of pullback that we have entered into. So that's kind of how things are looking overall on the chart this week for Jasmy. In my opinion, things still looking really good. This pullback, very necessary, very helpful, very healthy, all that type of stuff. What we are looking for now is kind of what happens next, right? Does Bitcoin enter a period of kind of a sustained pullback? in which case we are going to see alt continue to bleed for basically however long it takes for Bitcoin to continue to start making its move back to the upside. I have kind of made the prediction on my channel that we were going to hit 100,000 and then pull into probably a 20 to 30% pullback. That's my opinion, generally just because when we hit some sort of milestone like $100,000 Bitcoin, there's a lot more retail interest involved, there's a lot more money flowing, there's a lot more eyes on it, a lot more essentially new investors coming into this space. And because they're somewhat unsophisticated, they end up usually not really understanding what they're buying, and it's easy for essentially the market makers to kind of force a 20 to 30% pullback. A lot of these people get scared because they don't understand what they bought. Things pull back, they lose money, and then we go back to the upside. It's kind of a brutal business, but it is what it is, and that's why it pays to understand what you own, pays to understand the market, pays to be paying attention, particularly when interest gets to kind of all-time lows, like we were seeing on the Jasmy chart months ago. No one really cared, right? And now we're up over 2x from where we were at that point in time. So obviously definitely very beneficial to pay attention, in my opinion. Obviously nothing that I say is financial advice, just because I have no idea where things are actually going to go in the future. This is just kind of my opinion based on what I've seen in the past and what we're kind of seeing kind of form right now within the chart. So that's what I'm thinking right now. Obviously though, you do need to make your own decisions. Make sure you understand what you're doing, trading, all that type of stuff. None of this is financial advice. These are decisions that you need to make for yourself. So anyway, if you did find the information in this video useful, please do give me a like and subscribe, because it really, really does help me out. Also, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything like that, please feel free to drop those in the comment section below. I do try to read and respond to all of my comments, so if you have anything you want me to see, that'd be a great way to do so. And thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.